Hello everyone and welcome back to your regularly scheduled TJPW. After the big hiatus obviously and then the massive event that was Wrestle Princess, we are in fact back in action. Today's opening contest is a handicap match with the Bakaresu Sisters facing off against Raku, Neko Haruna and Mocha. This was a fun, maybe a bit messy match. Lots of silly spots, but it was a nice way to get back. And overall, completely enjoyable, if not very memorable match. Yuki Eno got the win with a full Nelson on Mocha. Next up is an 8-woman tag match featuring Hikari, Mizuki, Miyu and Nao Kakuta versus Mirai, Mahiro, Pom and Kamiyu. So it was a chaotic match, but it did serve to get a lot of people to advance who maybe didn't have a lot going on, which was nice to see. All of the action was perfectly serviceable. You can definitely feel that this is one of the first shows back after a huge event, because everything's still kind of snapping back into place. The finish of the match was Hikari getting the win over Mayumi with a extremely cool looking pull-up. Next up is Sakisama and X versus Bstar, which is Suzume and Space Ranger Sana. On the previous show, Sakisama announced that she would be bringing a mystery partner with her. And when she came out initially, it was with Martha, who everyone assumed was the mystery partner. But then her music played again, and May Saint Michelle came out, who bears a close resemblance to May Saruga. Can't really put my finger on how though. Apparently, she is a maid that Sakisama found in the woods as a feral child while she was playing the flute, and she adopted her and trained her to be a maid. That's canon, by the way. Bstar fought really hard in this match to try and match Sakisama and May Saint Michelle, but it was probably a bit above their stature to be dealing with the most evil woman in TJPW. So really they couldn't overcome the power of both of them in the ring. They couldn't deal with the interference from Martha. It was very sad. It was one of the most sad things. But it was a very good match, a very good introduction to May Saint Michelle, who I'm very looking forward to seeing more of. And I believe the finish, May Saint Michelle making Senna tap out with an extremely sick looking submission. Very good stuff. It's great to see Sakisama back. Next up is a completely not at all complicated match to try and describe with only words. It is a 5-way singles match that also has over-the-top rules. Alright, you ready? So it is Maki Ito, Rika Tatsumi, Yuka Sakazaki, Shoko Nakajima, and Miyu Yamashita, all facing off in a over-the-top 5-way elimination match. It was a very fun match, but it probably should have been better considering all the talent that was involved. Other than that, I mean, it was also a de facto number 1 contenders match, so if you don't want to know who the number 1 contender is, do not listen to the finishes that I'm about to announce. So the first finish was Maki Ito being eliminated by everyone at once after she tried a diving headbutt but missed and everyone pinned her. Shoko and Yuka worked together to eliminate Miyu. Rika then threw Yuka over the top rope and then pinned Shoko for the win. So Rika is your new number 1 contender. After the match it was announced that Rika would be taking on Yuka on the January 4th Korakuen Hall show. And next up, believe it or not, is your main event. So for those that have not seen this, I would highly recommend checking out yourself, as it is kind of one of a kind as far as anything goes. Couldn't happen anywhere else, and it is exquisite. So if you do not want to be spoiled, please go and watch it, because I'll be starting my description of it now. It is hard to describe whether or not this is a match or a segment. You could argue that it is both. The announced match was Hyper Misao vs Super Sasadango Machine. However, that did not come to pass, as when Misao came to the ring, she announced she was going to retire and she wanted her final match to be against Dango. Dango said that he wasn't a worthy opponent and thus they would have to do a Bachelorette style contest where she would have to pick from 6 contenders on who should actually be her opponent. So the contenders come out, and they are the Bakaresu Sisters, either of them I presume, Miyu Yamashita, Rika Tatsumi, and Shoko Nakajima. To skip forward a little bit, because the contest is very long, and a lot of the jokes go over my head because I do not speak Japanese. Even with the translations, they are quite complicated. It begins to set in that Hyper Misao is probably actually retiring here, which is very emotional for me at the time. So it continues, and Rika Tatsumi, whose gift, by the way, to try and win her over was slapping Misao in the face because she was so angry at her for retiring. So they have a match, which is billed as a retirement match. Hyper Misao does not do any of her usual spots. She does not cheat. She does not do anything untoward. She basically, essentially accepts it, and she goes out on her back, as all wrestlers should. After, she cuts an extremely powerful promo with a lot of tears, where she talks about how maybe not everyone liked her style or the way she went about things, but they had to see it because that was who she was and how she wanted to present herself as a wrestler. She didn't see herself as pretty enough to be an idol-style wrestler or athletic enough to be a wrestler, but she was a wrestler regardless. Which was very powerful. It's a very strong thing to say. And if it was a retirement, it would be, I think, for anyone, very strong. However, this was a big swerve, baby. Because right after she announces she is not retiring, she's instead getting married and will become the first ever married wrestler in TJPW. Which is very cute. This whole segment absolutely murdered me because it goes on for an hour. It goes on for an hour, and it tugs at your heartstrings because it plays on a lot of people's insecurities that Joshi wrestlers will retire out of nowhere and very young. Hyper Misao is 30, which is actually a lot older than most people. Most Joshi wrestlers retire at. You know, it's incredible. The idea that you can't wrestle to a certain age is ridiculous. If Terry Funk could wrestle into his 60s, people should retire when they feel like their time is up. She also said that originally she was actually going to retire because she agreed with her partner that she would accept engagement when she was done with wrestling, but she realized she was never going to be done with wrestling because she loves it too much and she loves him too much, and so they're getting married. So congratulations to Hyper Misao. Commiserations to marks like me who did a big cry while watching. And that was the whole show. Thank you for watching.